Hello and welcome to Sal's Hoopheads. Great to have your company once again. 3 rounds down in the Sal's NBL, and the highlights are coming through thick and fast. Justin Nelson with you again, upholding the dress code policy here at Sky TV.
And there's a policy?
Unfortunately.
What's the policy?
I got Steph Curry with me today.
So not like a suit?
I got Han Solo with me today as well. What's this Millennium Falcon stuff?
It's a ship that Wookiees flew on.
You're a corporate drone. We're rebelling.
Not like me with Disney.
Yeah, no. Not like me with a multi-billion-dollar organisation.
And as you can see, we're completely off the hook before we've even got going this week. Hey, I want to speak about crowds before we talk about anything else, because last week we mentioned crowds are up 60% year on year. But I tell you what, some of the shots that are coming through from after the games. This was Sunday night, Saints and Tuatara. Saints had lost the game. Their third home loss in a row, by the way. Look at this after the game. This is 8:30 at night on a Sunday.
3 losses in a row did not stop that stampede from nearly running us over as we were trying to talk to players after the game. I mean, it was really a rush of human beings just getting there, having a great time, shooting on one side, getting the autographs from the others. You used to get that back in the day in Wellington?
It certainly was. I remember going to Madgwick Stadium and the show buildings in Newtown and watching the likes of Kenny McFadden and Kerry Boagni, Peter Pokai, and just it's the organisation. The Saints are a legacy franchise in Wellington. They've been there longer than the Hurricanes, longer than the Pulse, longer than the Firebirds. Like, they are the team that Wellington hangs on to. That is just awesome to see.
Unbelievable, isn't it? And that's a sellout. Sunday night, in fact, the week before down in Dunedin, we were there, Casey, and that was a huge crowd as well.
Yeah, same thing. I actually had to grab the players away from signing autographs because they were having such a good time. But that's what it's all about. It's inspiring that next generation of fan and player and participant on every level. Just letting everybody know that basketball's there for them and getting to see some great basketball up close, and maybe they're heroes as well.
Well, we certainly saw a lot of great basketball in round 3. Time now to have a look at the results. And gee, I tell you what, there was some upsets and shocks, and there was more overtime basketball. There are the results. We go back to that Rams and Hawks classic. We'll talk about that one in more detail in a moment. Sharks by 20, no Rob Lowe in that opening game for the Tuatara. The Rams too strong against the Bulls. They get the double on the road. Airs and the Nuggets 3-0, the only unbeaten team in the competition right now. Jets at home, the Green Army, they're building, they're coming. And then, of course, the Saints losing their 3rd game in a row on their home deck. Let's talk about the Hawks and the Rams, though. What a game.
Game of the season, game of the week.
Game of the season is right, Casey. It was unreal to watch. I was exhausted at the end of it listening to you and Brooke, Justin. I really felt like the Hawks had an opportunity to close it out, and then the Rams as well. They had opportunities. It's just great to see this kind of basketball being played on a Thursday night.
The back and forth was phenomenal. The way the players' Sky City timeouts were being used to get great looks. It was just such unbelievable effort by these guys out there. 2 50-minute players for the Hawks, multiple 48-minute players for the Rams. And in the end, the battle of attrition stood, and the Rams found a way in that 3rd overtime.
How good was this guy, Hiram Harris? He was completely spent after that game.
Yeah, that's Hiram Harris to a T. This is the kind of game that Hiram Harris just feels like that he should win every single time. You know what? The
Hawks. Be upset about that call. Might have been a foul there.
How long's the show? Because I don't want to get into referees this early on. No, but to be fair to the Hawks, they have had an absolute roller coaster start to the season. They've had it all. It feels like they'll need some sort of semblance of regularity and maybe just some consistency, because they're getting pushed to the wall from all angles.
Well, they've had an overtime win. They've had a game where they came from behind, came home really strongly against the Saints. They've had a buzzer-beating loss, and they've had a triple overtime loss.
Yeah.
If you're a Hawks supporter, it's been a rough start on the old ticker, hasn't it?
When do they get Ira Lee?
A couple of weeks, I think.
Couple of weeks. I'm not actually 100% sure.
He's their import. He's due to come.
Yep.
When they get help, don't they need help? But as we've seen in the other games that we're going to talk about shortly, you need depth. Depth costs teams wins in this league in round 3.
And that size. Every team that's really playing well right now has a banger, a real big body, and Ira Lee is going to be that. As good as Jordan Hunt is, that's a difficult prospect for him against the likes of a Ty Wynyard. I think one of the reasons that the Rams were able to take that game.
Ira Lee's old man, Zeph, was a running back for the Raiders and the Broncos.
Okay.
That's a fair bit of pedigree right there. Get out of his way.
Loves the AFC West, is that right?
He must do.
Can I mention a name from that game?
Yeah.
Walter Brown.
Oh, Walter Brown is such a throwback player. I love the way he hustles on either end. He can shoot the ball. His form, his nous, his ability to get to the bucket is so good, but also he picks his spots so well.
Space as well, doesn't he, Case?
Well, he's got great length, and his instincts are really good for a 19-year-old. And after the first couple weeks of the season, he was struggling a little bit to get himself involved, but he really found a way in these last two games on this doubleheader road trip where he's not just scoring in the half court, but getting on the glass, finding ways to score there, slashing, and now shooting the ball really well. I mean, a complete game, and great that he just got picked up by Tasmania, or at least that's looking like maybe. I don't know.
Don't know that's done yet. We'll wait and see what happens. There may be some offers coming his way. The Sharks, they feasted on the Lizards.
The Sharks had to do what the Sharks had to do. They had to put the Tuatara away. Romaro Gill was excellent in the first half. He had his way in the key. The lack of size is what we talked about just recently there. And it just feels as though the Tuatara are one big away from being real challenges. And if they can get some help, because Rob Lowe, it can't all fall on his shoulders. You're not going to get a shooting night out of Cam Glidden every single night, it feels like, unfortunately.
Back to back.
Yeah. I feel as though the Tuatara can get it done when they have another big helping Rob Lowe out, as much as I love Nick Barrow.
I think this game proved that you can't go super small against the Sharks if you don't play with a greater pace. The Tuatara didn't play with great pace that game, so couldn't make up for it.
They tried to, didn't they?
They got it for that first 5, 6, 7 minutes,
yeah.
but then I think they just ran out of tick a little bit. Great shooting night from Cam Glidden. It was 9 threes in that one, 31 points. So a nice job.
But that was chasing the game as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Rams got the Bulls. Of course, for the Bulls, no Dan Fortu, and there was no Tyrell Harrison. Impressively, Don Kelman Poto did come out and really turn it on with his new hairdo, which I was very impressed by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, you mentioned that in round one that he wasn't up to much with his hairdo. And I think he took it personally, Justin. He came over and mentioned it to Casey pre-game.
How about that?
But they did really well through 2.5 quarters, the Bulls. They took it to them. I just feel as though they're just going to struggle a little bit without Tyrell Harrison. And Dan Fortu is finding his feet in this league because he's had a bit of a stilted start to both ANBL and NBL careers. But Tyrell Harrison is the key here. And if they can keep him on the floor and get him healthy, they're going to be the champs like I predicted pre-season.
Great win by the Rams. They did what they had to do. They came on the road, won the second of a doubleheader after an exhausting first game. But tip of the cap to Coach Daniel Sokolowski, the way he's got that team prepared to play with less talent. You know, Fotu and Harrison are both 20-point-a-game guys, and still to be in that game late against a really talented squad, it says good things about the Bulls.
Judd Flavel, I mean, he's got the luxury of having 2 imports off the bench.
Unbelievable.
Which is crazy in this league, but also they look like they were in third gear through most of that game, through fatigue, and just probably because they knew they didn't have the size of Fotu and Harrison to contend with. But then just in that second half, they just put the foot on the floor.
Walter Brown again, the way he closed that one, that's why they ended up taking it.
Nice position to be in, isn't it? Nuggets over the airs, Todd Withers. What a start he had to this game. Unbelievable.
It's just crazy. The way he shot that ball in that first quarter. You know, I was driving back from that game, so I started off when I watched. And I watched those first 20 minutes, and I was like, oh my goodness, Withers looks like he's at a different speed right now. And then if that shot's dropping like that, this team becomes pretty much unguardable.
Oh, absolutely. And I just want to, I think it's the uniform.
Well, I was going to say,
they are.
Is that the best?
They have overtaken the Tuatara pinstripe.
You're a baby blue fan.
I love the baby blue on the night and day Otago Nuggets. They really are.
I will say
fire uniforms.
One thing about that baby blue probably looks better on the American imports than it looks on the dudes from Dunedin who haven't had a tan.
Jack Andrew probably agrees with you.
But if they could get a tan, a little bit of a brown, it would be butter.
Jets and Giants. Are we believers?
I'm drinking the Jets.
You're in, aren't you? You are all in.
I am all in on the Jets. I love the way that they've taken what they had at the end of last season, improved the imports that they got, because they were just Crawford, Najdawi and Bohannon. They were good enough, but they weren't ideal. Najdawi a little bit small for a back-to-the-basket game. Crawford probably a little bit too streaky, and Bohannon just a little bit too, I don't know, maybe
Bohananish.
Yeah, I just think he didn't have a lot of factors to his game that could really carry a team. This time, though, Ngāti Tawhali's got the mix of the youth and the imports. My goodness, they go. Mustafa Heron can go. Danny Pippen can go.
Can I ask you a question, Case? The Giants defensively, they got carved up quite a few times easily in this one.
That would be pretty disappointing to Mike Fitchett. I think a lot of straight line drives, I think, is a big problem. The rotations were having to come over so early. It made everything easy on that second pass if they got to it. The way Javion Blake and Mustafa Heron got to the cup at will. I mean, they look quick, I don't know, but they can't be that quick. You have to do a better job at the fundamentals, which is normally what the Nelson Giants do. So they got a step or two to go.
I feel like Kevion Pippen, excuse me, I'm going to get that wrong most of the season. But I feel like once he gets his legs going, he looked heavy. He stepped off the plane.
Yeah, big dude.
Yeah, big dude. If he gets his legs and puts in the work, he will be an absolute handful.
Now, we know you're on the Jets. I think the Jets are on the Jets as well, because the social game after the game was a bit of fun.
I just want to see what's going on in the comments every now and again. It's great to see the fans involved, but it's even better to see the Pippins going at each other. No relations. Kevion Pippen is what you can see doing that dunk there. He is the relation to Scottie Pippen. Daddy Pippen is not. And then it's just like, wow, where Kevion Pippen has arrived, Daddy Pippen saying they lost. I love that.
Well, not only that, but they also had a crack at the Rams about where their loss came from. So the Jets are well and truly on their game at the moment.
There we go.
Speaking of all things ladder, we're going to get to that in a moment. Saints in the Tuatara on Sunday night. Casey, you saw this game. Rob Lowe came back in. Very, very good.
It was great to see Rob Lowe back and have no ill effects. Was really impressed in that first quarter from the Saints, though. They came out and played to great effect with their speed. Kyle Adnam, he came in and was absolutely lights out. But as good as Rob Lowe was, the way Ruben Tarangi played once again, all facets of the game, the way he controlled it, his strength was great. And with the way Weeks and Cam Glidden once again were shooting, that four, man, they are tough to stop. And if they can keep finding that fifth guy, such as Charlie Dolphin, to contribute, that is a really solid Tuatara team in all the fundamental areas.
My MVP is I've got four names now for MVP.
Okay.
Mustafa Heron,
one.
Tarangi Lowe,
three,
and Withers. Like, those are the four guys at the moment that are carrying their teams. Even Ruben Tarangi missed a round. Like, they sucked the air out of the Saints venue. I don't know if you guys could tell with the headphones on, but it was quiet. And
we said it a few times.
Yeah, that's quiet as it gets in there.
Yeah, because that's a loud venue. The crowd was stunned. Yep. They were like, oh no, this is not happening, is it?
Especially with that lighting. It gets all dark in the background, and so you can't hear anything. You're like, are they still there?
Yeah.
Are they still here?
It wasn't that long ago that we had a game there with no crowd whatsoever. Let's have a look at the ladder in the Sal's NBL at the moment. There's a couple of teams down the bottom with some work to do. Ironically, they play each other this week. But look at those South Island teams occupying 3 of the top 4 spots.
I feel as though we've found 2 of our 4 that will drop out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not going to tell you who they are.
Well, what I found interesting about this is teams 8, 9, and 10 all in the top 6 last year.
Yeah.
So we've already got a lot of movement in the elevator. The Bulls right there on the cusp at it. Obviously, everybody in 2 wins is right there in the mix.
Are the Jets there to stay?
They are. They'll be in the 6.
Talking points from round 3, and it was all about 30 pieces because Daron Orakawa, Cam Glidden, Todd Withers, Ruben Tarangi. Fantastic. All 4.
Yeah, those are the guys, like I said, they're, for me, in the mix for the MVP. But they're the guys who are going to carry their teams out of the 4 if they drop off at any point. Those teams that I think they're going to be in that 4, they're going to have to be consistent because everyone's going to leave them behind. Not because they're bad teams, but because they're going to start racking up those hours and start to feel that pressure. And I feel as though that's what's going to get teams over the line, is having to be carried by the likes of Tarangi.
And let's not forget about Daron Ruakawa, the way he's scoring off the bench. He's such a weapon. Once they get that extra guy and then they can go one player more deep, that's when I think we're going to really see that Hawks team come together.
Todd Withers, the thing I love about Todd Withers, he does it both ends.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing we didn't mention about the Otago Nuggets victory this week is they suffocated Taranaki in that first quarter. Absolutely suffocated them, and he's the head of that snake. The offense is fantastic, but what he does on the other end,
Look at this.
It's just ridiculous.
What I love is that Brett
Enjoyed it.
Matahari, that he ground down the opposition in the last couple of games. Like, they are low scoring in the 60s, but then if you're a team like the Naki who like to run, who like to get out a little bit, that Withers is like, yeah, I can do that as well. I will stop you down one end, but I will stroke it from deep and cut and slash and get out on the break.
It's a clinic. Look at the way he's scoring the basketball. And some of these shots are a little bit lucky. He gets a bank here and there, but the others are
wide
just
open.
so pure. And that kind of space, that kind of release. I mean, he was fun. Look at that move. Look
Wow.
at that. Has he?
Look at that finish.
Oh, come on now. Stop it. Playing a level. He wasn't, somehow didn't get in the list for Defensive Player of the Year last year.
Should
He's
have
going to
been
be in
there.
that list and that MVP
Should have
list
been
this
there.
year.
Unreal.
Ridiculous stuff.
I just feel as though how they go will be determine how Withers goes, and it takes the pressure off Sam Timmins a little bit as well.
Yep.
They're not having to have his back to the basket, pounded inside. You got him streaking, it's great.
Ruben Tarangi, his performance against the Tuatara, I mean, we spoke about it a short time ago, but he just, right from the start, first whistle, he was on.
It's measured. His game is measured. He's so calm. Even in his post-match interview,
Nothing.
he's
Give me
calm.
nothing.
I was like, yes, Ruben, give Casey nothing. He doesn't deserve it. But I loved it. I love that's his persona, but that's his game. He will pick you apart. He will hit the shots, but he'll make the pass. He'll make the cuts. He'll rebound the ball. He'll play defense.
And one man who'd be really happy with what he saw on Sunday's Pero Cameron.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you asked during the game, is he going to be a tall black? No question about it. I mean, he's a tall black. He's one of the leaders of the group. His versatility on both ends of the court, I think, is what's so valuable. He can score as a cutter. He can score as a shooter. He's valuable as a distributor as well. And defensively, he can slide up or down in terms of position. He can be your defensive point guard and start the break. I mean, that kind of versatility is just so valuable, in particular when it comes on both ends.
Cam Glidden, night out against the Sharks, 9 triples, 9 of 15 he shot, and he was very, very serviceable again against the Saints. He keeps playing like that. I mean, he is as hard as they get to stop, especially beyond the arc.
Well, he was a defensive stopper in round one. He had a couple of blocks. Now he's given up on the defensive end to focus on dropping the threes. Love Cam Glidden. I love his release. I love the fact that he's obviously got that green light, because this is what he does. And he just, if he runs that pick and roll, that high on ball, he's going to be incredible for the Tuatara to fill it up, because that's super key for them. You've got Tarangi in low, but Glidden needs to be hitting those shots from the wing.
And as good as that game against Southland was, I think the better game he had this weekend was against Wellington. I think it was a more complete game and just as valuable offensively. And this reminds me of the Cam Glidden we saw for years up in Cairns that would just be a breaker killer. When he'd come on and he'd shoot that shot, it was a big shot. You just knew
spark.
it was good. He was happy to get a little bit of freedom offensively. He didn't have as much of that with the Breakers this season. He's getting that chance here. And it's always fun when the ball's going in the bucket.
He came in to chat with us for the highlights show. He's just an all-round good dude.
Yeah, he's great. I love
Really
him.
good guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's enjoying playing some minutes as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Ball, the leather feels good.
That's
It feels good. It's the best medicine there is.
Rob Lowe had that same experience last year. He finally got some minutes and was a double-double machine.
And led into the season afterwards.
Good signs, of course, for the Tuatara at the moment. They get that big win against the Saints on the road. So plenty of action, round 3 in the Sal's NBL. And there's also been plenty of action globally. Let's check it all out now as we go around the world on Sal's Hoopheads.
Tipping things off with teenage sensation and former Auckland Tuatara Dante Russo-Nance, who's just entered ESPN's Top 100 Prospects list. From the 2024 class, Dante is currently plying his trade at Oak Hill Academy in the US. He's currently fielding Division I offers from Louisville, Gonzaga, Wisconsin, Wake Forest and more. Rayan Rupier becomes the 4th Breakers next star to declare for the NBA draft, following RJ Hampton, Ousmane Dieng and Hugo Besson. Rupier is currently projected to be a late lottery to mid-first round pick in the upcoming 2023 NBA draft. And surely it's time for Dylan Brooks to stop talking.
The media making me a villain, the fans making me a villain.
Like, dude, seriously? The media and fans? You even tried going at an NFL Hall of Famer, and he was just in the crowd. Come on, man. Anywho, the Kings could be without one of their main men come tomorrow's matchup with the Golden State Warriors. All-star point guard De'Aaron Fox is currently listed as doubtful while he nurses a broken finger sustained in Game 4 on Monday. Our main man Hugh Bainan and the rest of Sacktown hoping he's good to go for tomorrow's crucial Game 5 matchup.
I love going around the world, plenty of hoops action. And I don't mind talking about the Warriors as well because we've got one of their superstars in Sal's Hoophead studio today. Good to see you.
Which one is this?
Have a look at it.
Is that fake Klay Thompson?
This is the Puddle brother.
Still gets wet.
It's a best of 3 now, and 2 of them are in the Kings' home venue. The Warriors are terrible on the road. They're going to have to get Game 5. 82% of teams that win Game 5 when a series is tied 2-2 in the playoffs win the series. This has to be the game that they won.
Has anyone heard
Warriors.
from Hugh Bainan, by the way? Have you heard from him?
We talked to him last week on our other podcast,
Right.
Straight Dribble.
Is he okay?
And he is...
He's very okay then.
He's very okay now with De'Aaron Fox's finger injury.
That's the thumb. That's the thing you got to worry about. If he's not at full strength, that really hurts them. But what's most impressive is Draymond Green's defense on Sabonis. This guy was an animal all season long, and he's like, I think 2 for 18 in the painted area, or outside of that, he's just horrible.
Probably the worst thing for the Kings is he got suspended. He had to take a step back. He watched what Kevon Looney could do. He also decided that his defense, he could adjust it and see what Sabonis could do. Yeah, they scout a lot. They get given vision, but he really doesn't. He really doesn't pay attention enough. He just goes on his instincts, I reckon, Draymond. Like he's a good player coach in the future, but what he's done now is going to be really, really influential, I reckon.
I am officially just doing some welfare checks on Hugh this week.
Yeah,
So I'm a little bit worried with what's coming up.
And they're expecting their 3rd kid.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Round 4, Sal's NBL. I mean, big games. They just keep coming at us. Here's what's on the slate this week, and there's some key matchups ahead of us. Obviously, Nuggets and Giants on Thursday. Nuggets 3-0. Giants have got some work to do. They've got to get on the board this week.
They've got a double header, and the other Giants game is my key game. But this one, this is a hard road for Mike Fitchett's group. Hopefully, Pippen has his legs under him and can be dynamite in the middle for them.
Yep.
They've got the personnel to win, but they have to play better.
Rams take on the Sharks. Good match up, that one. Bulls and the Tuatara. I mean, that is as big as it gets. That game coming up on Sunday to finish us all off. And it is the Battle of the North. Other matchups, of course, Airs and the
Battle
Jets.
of the Big Smoke.
Yep, Saints and the Giants. You've picked out the Saints and the Giants as your key game, Mull.
Yeah, that's because
Someone's got to win.
someone has to win. But this is the desperation part. We're only in round 4, and one of my 2 teams that aren't going to make the 6 will come out of this game.
Really?
And that will be probably, I think it will be the Giants.
So whoever loses,
Yeah.
done, scratched, gone for the season.
I think so. I think the rest of the league is so good above them. It's not like last season when the Saints had a slow start, they
Wow.
made a coaching change.
That's true.
Xavier Cooks came back.
Yeah.
Then they were able to pick teams off who weren't quite as strong. They probably had a better schedule. This is different this season.
And the Saints might be slightly improved.
It might be as well. Don't give us a tip just yet. Very quickly, Bulls and Tuatara, that's your key game.
I just think it's a really key battle between bigs. Hopefully the Bulls are at full strength so we can see what that looks like. They've got a little bit more leverage inside, especially if DKP's playing well, but the speed of the Tuatara, and I think this is a testament as to whether or not the Bulls are going to be in the upper echelon or not.
Here we go, yes or no to finish this all off for another episode of Sal's Hoopheads. Are you ready?
It is.
Yes or no?
Yes or no?
Right, you got that? They're the rules.
Yes.
What time was call time today? That's not a yes or no question.
Here we go. Is Walter Brown the best under 21 player in the Sal's
21.
NBL?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it time for Dylan Brooks to stop talking and start delivering?
No.
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 Keep talking.
Keep talking. It's enjoyable.
Aaron Young, future Tall Blacks coach. Yes or no?
Yes.
Well, I mean, it's just let's go no. I'm playing the odds.
You
Sorry,
did tell
Harry.
him the rules, didn't you?
Yeah.
no.
Right,
He said
okay.
no.
All right,
Yeah.
fair enough. We got there. Can the Jets win the 2023 championship?
Yes.
Can they?
Pregnant. Ty Wynyard, ANBL next season, yes or no?
No.
I think no.
I think bigger things
Higher,
are.
yeah.
I think there are bigger things coming up for Ty Wynyard.
Bigger.
Yeah.
Okay, and here we go. Giants, will they beat the Saints this Sunday?
No.
Saturday, I should say.
Definitely not Sunday, but no.
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 Yeah,
Yeah. If they lose 2 games here, very steep to
If
get
they're
a big
using
six.
if they're using you as motivation, by the way, they're in real trouble.
They're in massive trouble.
Let's get serious here. Casey Frank, should he, this is for you, Miles, should he shave his beard if Romaro Gill hits a three-pointer this season?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it. And this is for you, Case.
Okay.
If the Jets win their third game in a row this weekend, Mull's in the studio next week, fully decked out in green. Leprechaun, I don't care what it is, fully decked out, yes or no?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm only going to finish with this one. The Hawks, any more overtime games this season, are we happy for them to finish with rock, paper, scissors?
Yes. Yes.
No. I want to watch them keep playing.
You're a party pooper, Case, there's no doubt about
Keep it
that.
going.
Actually, that's a good point.
Hope you've enjoyed it. Round 4 coming up in the Sal's NBL. Get out there and have some fun. We'll see you next week. See you then.